Hi, good evening, and thank you for joining us for the November chat. The FPUK Zoom channel is kindly sponsored by the Writing Equipment Society, and for further information, there is a pinned post at the top of the group page. Tonight we have Matt Parker with us, who has very successfully set up the Bath Pen Meet. He's here to talk to us about attending pen meets, finding meets, and even setting one up in your area if there isn't one. So over to you, Matt.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, let me just move this over so that I can actually see the screen properly. Hi everyone, I'm Matt, and Steph's told you all about me, which is great. First things first, tiny little bit of housekeeping. First of all, I live in the countryside, and my broadband is run by hamsters who run on wheels. So if I suddenly disappear, I will reappear. But if I suddenly go all robotic or anything, then please let me know, and there's not a lot I can do about it, but I'll try and speak more slowly at that point. Also, I've got a little presentation for you. Before we do that, first of all, it'd be great if people could drop in the chat. What's your experience of pen meets? So are you a Bath member who's come to heckle me? I think that's about half of the people here. Have you ever been to a pen meet before? And also, any questions? What would you like to know about pen meets? I've got a few. Thank you, Andrew. I've got a few things to say, but I'm sure I've missed out on some of the really obvious questions. So please do tell me what you'd like to know and what I should think about as I go through tonight. Please, as I talk, feel free to drop questions into the chat. Maybe Steph could just keep an eye on that. And if there's relevant questions at the time, just interrupt me with them. And otherwise, we will deal with all questions at the end. So let's just have a quick look through Bath. We've got an organizer, attended and organised. Excellent. Okay, a good cake person. Not a Bath member, but came to heckle me anyway. Thank you very much indeed. Right, excellent. Oh, come on, Chris. You've got to be able to drive over here. We're also very accessible by public transport as well. So we'd love to see you at that point. Right, cat's off my lap, so that makes my life a lot easier now. Okay, I am just, am I okay to share on here? Am I set up to share on here, Steph?
Yes, you are.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me just set this up. This always takes 1 minute to get right. So I just need to go into that, then go back into Zoom, share that. Hopefully everyone can now see my screen. Please give me a thumbs up or a yes, or shout yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah,
so hopefully you already knew that I was going to talk to you about pen meets today. Otherwise you're in for a bit of a surprise. I'm Matt. I have a background in photography. I also work as a consultant in the printing industry. So a few kind of weird bits, and about I don't know, about 5 years ago now, maybe, as part of my photography and my creative practice, I started reading various books about improving your vision and what you should do about things, things that I actually teach now. And I started journaling, and I was recommended that I should do some daily pages in journaling. So I started doing this, and it felt a little wrong that I was doing this with a ballpoint pen. So I remember my wife had given me a Parker pen a few years before, and I resurrected it and started using it. Then I had another friend. Those of you who come to the Bath Pen Meet may know Alice. She effectively pen-abled me. From there, it was a long and expensive rabbit hole to finding out more about pens, finding out more about inks. And then I started looking at the horrors of Facebook and joined a couple of fountain pen groups, fortunately, one of which was FPUK. Kind of went from there, and then went to my first pen show. And then I heard about these weird things called pen meets, and decided that I'd quite like to go to a pen meet, but being lazy, I'd sooner have one near me. posted on the group, and there wasn't a Bath one near me. So I then decided that, well, I was told that I should organise one myself. So I kind of grasped the bull by the horns and decided to do it. And this is where the tale of the fact that the Bath pen meet nearly never happened comes into play, because there I was, having kind of put a few feelers out and being quite surprised that, yeah, having seen a few pen meets where there seemed to be 3 or 4 people meeting up, suddenly everyone seemed to want to come to Bath for a pen meet. So there I was wandering around Bath on a Saturday, trying to find a venue that would like to have between 12 and 16 people, much to my amazement, who wanted to talk about pens. And you'd think there'd be loads of coffee shops who would be going, wow, you mean you want to make a reservation for 16 people who want to come and eat our cake and drink our coffee? You'd think that'd be easy. You'd think that'd be brilliant. And in Bath, coffee shops do not want large groups of people. So every single one I was going into going, no, we don't do reservations. No, we wouldn't want a group that big. Yeah, we can probably accommodate you. We need a deposit of at least £50 for us to consider this. And it's like, this is a lot harder than I thought. What am I going to do, having got all these people together who want to meet? Surely there must be somewhere that we can meet up together. And fortunately, at the end, I found 2 potential venues, one of which was very near the station. So that one won out. And that's now our home for having the Bath Pen Meet. So those of you who've been, those of you who are going to come, you will get to meet the fantastic Widcombe Deli, which is inside a pub, and ticks a lot of the boxes that we need for a pen venue. But before we do that, let's just start off with the obvious and say, what is a pen meet for any of you who haven't been to a pen meet before? Basically, the simple answer is it's a place where 2 or more people get together and meet up, and at least some of the conversation is about pens and hopefully ink and paper as well. You may recognize some of the miscreants that are on FPUK in this photograph. This is one of the early pen meets. As you can see, we also had to contend with the sports that go on in the afternoon, so sometimes it gets a little wild in there. The next pen meet, we're starting early to try and avoid the sporting fixtures. But basically, a pen meet is something where we can all get together and enjoy the wonderful world that is pens. And as a result of the Bath Pen Meet, I can say quite happily that I have met a huge number of great people, some of which, are now part of my social circle and I meet up with every now and again. I've had conversations on WhatsApp with them individually to talk about pens and other things as well. And it's really, really nice. I've got to try out loads of pens that I might not have otherwise. Some very expensive pens that people have been very kind enough to bring to the group and let people try out, even before they know me, which is probably just as well, because if they did know me, then they probably wouldn't let me try them out. I've got to try all sorts of different papers. I've been forced to buy lots of different new notebooks and pen cases. But all of this is just great. We get together. We have a sample bag. You can see some of the samples in the middle of the picture there. You might see my cursor going around. We have a massive sample swamp now, so people who want to lessen their ink swamp just add to the Bath Pen Meet ink swamp instead. And it's just great fun. So if you've never been to a pen meet, then I thoroughly recommend that you come along to one. Come along to the Bath one if you like. Make a weekend of it in Bath if you live far away. I think Steph is now going to become the furthest travel person when you come and visit us next time from all the way from Yorkshire. That just seems to be dedication beyond what's necessary. But yeah, we've had people from all over coming to visit us, and it's been really, really nice to see you all there. So why should you go to one? I just hopefully answered that in some of my previous spiel, but basically cake. You can't have a good pen meet without good cake. And we like to say we've got the best cake in Bath at our pen meets. But go to a pen meet because it's just great to meet like-minded people, sit down, have a conversation about pens, have conversations about other things as well, if you like, have conversations about socks. We'll talk about that later. But socks and pens, hashtag socks and pens, came as a result of a conversation at the Bath Pen Meet. Come because it's a great opportunity to try out new things you might not have before, and come because it's a real opportunity. Not everyone who comes to a pen meet is a a seasoned pen veteran. I certainly wasn't when I started up the pen meet. Come to teach people and tell them more about the wonderful world of pens. The next thing that I think I was asked to talk about is what should you take to a pen meet? Well, pens would be quite handy. Yeah, that's the only thing I'd say is really bring pens to a pen meet. It doesn't matter what you bring. Yeah, I've tried out everything from pens that were less than £2 up to pens that were four figures. But just bring pens that we can all share, talk about. Everyone's got a different collection. Everyone's got different interests. I mean, I'm just seeing Andrew sipping a glass of wine there. He's introduced me to the whole world of Arushi pens and the beautiful artwork that you can see on there. Yeah, other people have introduced me to the £2 pen. Other people, we had Tom Sherwood, who I think is on this call. He came last time. He's got a beautiful collection of pocket pens, and they're all of a similar vibe as well. And just seeing that was just wonderful and eye-opening. They're not necessarily all the pens that I see are not always ones that I would like to get. I don't think I'm going to get a Henry VIII pen in my collection anytime soon. But just seeing people's different pen tastes opens your minds hugely. Fortunately, I have a fairly austere pen taste, so I haven't had to buy everything that I've seen there. But it's just a wonderful way to see these things. So bring pens to a pen meet. That's a good start. What else? Paper and notebooks, for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's great to have a place where you've got a paper that you know, where you can try out other inks and pens on something that you've tried out before. But also, it's lovely for other people to try out your different papers, your notebooks. I've tried out so many different papers now. We have had Tom Bolter and I think Alistair's coming along next time from the Inked Pour there. So they create their own notebooks and they've brought along samples of paper for us to try, which has been great. People have brought along all sorts of weird papers that just weren't on my radar, and now they are. I'm a bit of a paper geek. I like my papers, and I've had some fantastic conversations about paper, about notebooks, about what makes a good paper, what doesn't. Yeah, I've gone out and bought different papers as a result of trying these out. And as importantly, there's been papers that I've been put off buying as a result of this as well. So paper is an essential part of a pen meet. The more paper you can have, the better. And ink. Ink's always good to bring along. Some people get terribly serious about this. You'll see in my next slide. But ink's great to bring along. I've tried out all sorts of inks, had my eyes open to things, seen what I don't like. I bring along my swatch books as well, and other people do as well. And it's really nice just to be able to flick through and compare inks. And people, even if I haven't got a sample of an ink there, people can go XYZ ink. Oh yeah. No, I've tried that. Here's what it looks like. I do my swatching. I'm looking forward to watching Steph's swatching video, so I know how to do it properly. But I do it on Rhodia and on Midori, which show up the inks very differently. So I can show people inks in different ways. People have brought along their ink swatch cards before, and we get a chance to try whatever's in people's pens out on our papers as well. If you want to get really into this, the safety goggles are probably a step too far, but bring along some vials and bring along some syringes. People quite often bring along bottles of ink that people that are happy to share a sample from. Ones that we can just try, or to try out samples that are brought along as well. So it's always good to bring that along as well if you want. If you don't, it doesn't matter because there's always someone there with some empty vials and some syringes. People have brought along their entire swatching kits with blotting paper and those little swatch stamps that you can use that I don't know the name of because I never use them, and all sorts of things that you can bring along as well. And finally, bring along your pen cases and your notebook cases as well. I've brought a lot of extra ones now, having seen ones at meetups. One of the nice things about meetups is before you get going, people have often put on there, does anyone have XYZ pen, or does anyone have a Lockbee pen case? Was my one. I got to see the whole range and buy most of the range as a result of it. But people can go. I've asked for if anyone's got certain pens. Andrew kindly brought along his Gravitas Monster last time. It's a lovely pen. It's beautifully balanced. but it's not for me for various reasons. And I wouldn't have known that if Andrew hadn't brought it along to the pen meet. Yeah, see what people have. And it's amazing so many times that people have a pen that you're interested in that you'd like to find out more about, or a nib that you could try. And all of these things come to pen meets. And I just think it's lovely the way so many people are happy to bring along their cherished treasures and let people try them out. It's a lovely thing that, yeah, it's a lovely part of the community that so many people are prepared to do this and share their knowledge, but let people try out their pens willingly. The only thing I'd say is if you have a pen that you are particularly precious about, that's got sentimental value, just think twice before bringing it along. There's never been any issues at the Bath Pen Meet whatsoever. But it only takes one person to put their fingerprint on that you didn't want, or for it to fall into a chocolate sundae or something, and you might get if you've got a pen you're particularly precious about, either don't bring it or bring it, but just give people a word of warning before they use it, just so that they know that it's a pen that's particularly special to you. Okay, so where do you find out about pen meets? Steph, you said I was going to talk about this. I put this slide up and I thought, where do you find out about pen meets? And the only place I can think of actually is FPUK. So if you want to find out if there's a pen meet in your area, I regularly see posts on the board where people go, what's a pen meet? And by the way, is there one in this particular area of the UK? And people are always very helpful about coming back. I've learned about lots of pen meets that I didn't know about simply by reading those posts. FPUK is the place that I would say try and find out about one. I actually, as part of my creative career, I sell my photographic prints at a contemporary arts fair in Bath. And I also do workshops in photography. So I'm never afraid to sell at these events. So I get talking to people and I go, are you interested in photography? Would you like to come along to a workshop? Can I take your details? And at that point, I always proffer my notebook and a fountain pen. And we've recruited at least 2 people to the Bath Pen Meet so far, with a potential 3rd person coming along, just through me having shared that pen. So yeah, do always pen-able people, get talking to them, tell them that there's a meetup near you and that people might like to come along. So the Bath Pen Meet is not an FPUK exclusive meetup. It's for anyone who's interested in pens who wants to come along. I think we've had people come along, and as a result, they've joined FPUK, which is brilliant because I'll always evangelize the group there. But Bath Pen Meet is not exclusively FPUK. It's for anyone who's interested in fountain pens. That's what I hear a lot of the time, though, which is possibly why so many people come so far to Bath, although I can't believe there isn't a good pen meet between Yorkshire and Bath, Steph, but there we go. It's down to you at this point. It's down to you to organise this. And that's why the Bath Pen Meet happened, because I said, is there a pen meet up near Bath? And there were a few were recommended to me. And being a lazy traveller, I thought, do I really want to go all that way to go to a pen meet? And the answer was no. I'd sooner other pen people came near me. And it turned out there was quite a good amount of people near Bath. But if you want to organise a pen meet, it's a lot easier than it sounds. It may sound like a daunting idea, particularly when I said I'm wandering around Bath looking for a venue for 16 people. To be fair, most pen meets, I think, are a bit smaller than that. And please chime in. I know Cardiff is a large, lively pen meetup group, and there's a lot of symbiosis between Bath and Cardiff. But otherwise, I think most pen meetups that I'm aware of typically around about half a dozen people. A largish one might be about 10 people. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about that, but that's the sort of number that I'm getting when I see pen meetups happening. So Bath is unusual in its size. Typically, I think most maybe start up with 4 or 6 people who are interested in coming along. So set up your own. You don't have to be a huge logistics manager. It's not like setting up Glastonbury or WOMAD or something like that. We can all do this. If I can do it, anyone can. So how do we go about this? First thing to think about is a venue. And actually getting the right venue does require a little bit of thought at this point. So for Bath, having tables for enough people was a major issue, but actually that's not an issue. First of all, think about when you're going to meet up and when the venues might be open. So Cardiff meet at the Millennium Centre in the evening on a Friday typically. A lot of Penn meetups tend to be on a weekday evening or on a Saturday afternoon. We do a Saturday afternoon because it's easier for people to travel. I know there's a couple in London, I think, that meet up on a early evening or a later evening. So is your venue going to be open, first of all? Do you need to reserve there? How are you going to manage? And does it have tables? So you want somewhere where you can sit round the table together, get out your pens and notebooks, and not be disturbed with a feeling that you have to move on quickly. Does it serve decent coffee? Does it serve decent cake? I always think that's important. That may not be the top of most Penn Meets list, but what we like in Bath is to say that we have the best cake. Also, the lighting is also important for this. So can you see your pens and paper enough to be able to appreciate ink, to be able to appreciate the colours of the ink? I'd say in the Bath venue, it's just on the edge of acceptable light. We did think about this, and I rejected a few venues because I didn't feel the lighting was good enough there. So that is one thing to think about as well. Another thing to think about is accessibility. So we have had people of limited mobility who've wanted to come to the Bath Pen meetup. So that was something. We couldn't do coffee shops that were up steep flights of stairs or that were difficult for people to get to. So we have tried to think about that as well. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than a lot of coffee shops might be in Bath at that point as well. So we try and take that into account as well. I think that's all about venues. But just the other thing for Bath is we have to reserve. So there was a memorable Saturday when I woke up and thought, oh bother, that wasn't my exact words, but oh bother, I've forgotten to make the reservation. Fortunately, they could still do the reservation at that point. And I'm never afraid to say these are the tables that we want at this point. In return, if you're attending a Pen meet and if it's at an independent cafe, show the love for them. The Widcombe Deli are great for us, and they've been really good at accommodating us, giving us a table for 3 hours or more. In return, I just say to everyone who comes to the meeting, please buy coffee, buy lunch there if you want to have lunch, buy cake. You can get a beer at the bar, but please don't just come and have a glass of water and sit there for 3 hours because it's not really fair on them. And one of the things I wanted to do was to try and support independent businesses. So it is an independent business. All the more reason we should support them. This isn't Cafe Nero or Costa, who probably don't care if you buy coffee or not. This makes a difference to the viability of the business. So please do support them in return. So that's the first thing. Secondly, put it out there and put a date in the diary. Now with Bath, we've got over 40 people on our WhatsApp group now, which is lovely. We're never going to be able to set a date that suits everyone. If you've got a small number of people, I recommend setting up a WhatsApp group. And I've never had anyone who's not prepared to share their number with me. But we have a discussion group. If you've got 4 to 6 people, have a poll as to where you're at now with setting dates. When we started up Bath, we did a poll on WhatsApp on did people want an evening or a Saturday afternoon? Saturday afternoon became the best time. But I started off by doing a poll about which date would suit people. And I've now worked out that there's never a date which suits the majority of people. So we sort our dates out around 2 things. The first of which is sporting fixtures, because then the venue gets busier and it gets noisier. So we try and avoid those as much as possible. And then I just get dictatorial and go, right, this suits my diary. This is when we're going to have the next meetup. And whatever date we had, it would be inconvenient for some people. So we just have to accept that. But if you've got 4 or 6 people, try and do a poll and work out when the best time is, and then put it in your diary and tell people that's when it's happening. The other bit about organizing it at this point is make sure that you make an event or you advertise it in FPUK. Anyone can make an event in FPUK. So make an event at the top of the page and If you've got any problems, Steph will give you instructions. I did it all by myself, he says proudly, without having to ask. I can't remember how you do it at this point in the evening, especially now I've started my first glass of wine, but it's very easy. Just put it up there, and then just, I tend to do it. With this one, I got really organized, and I've done it kind of 6 weeks, 2 months in advance. I'll put up a couple of posts near the time to remind people and to let people know what's happening at the meeting as well. So that's it, really. You've organised your first pen meet. Then just sit back, relax. There's no need to be nervous. I've never met a pen person who I haven't liked. So just sit back, relax, enjoy meeting people. I also, when I'm organising it, on the WhatsApp group before the first meet, I did I do a little reminder, tell people what they might like to bring, tell people of any particular reasons why they should attend this one, remind them it's happening. And I have put up videos of how to get to our venue, because the easiest way is through a tunnel through the railway station, and it's very easy to find on Google Maps, but it just helps people. I seem to remember kind of running through the torrential rain the first time, trying to make a video, and going, gosh, it's wet here. But fortunately, by the time the meetup started, the rain had gone away and people were able to get there. So a few things about pen meetup etiquette. I've never really thought about this until I started doing this presentation. The first thing is we're all there to learn. So I don't know very much about pens. There are people there who come to Bath who can name every different variant of a Pilot or a Mont Blanc, and I don't even collect in those areas. We're all there to learn. So I try and welcome people who don't know much about pens and just start showing them pens. And equally, don't assume that people know everything that you know. If everyone knew as much about paper as Dominic does, for instance, the world will be a very knowledgeable place. So yeah, do just start telling people, but equally do start asking questions of people. That's the whole thing about it. That's the lovely thing about pen meetups, is it's a great learning place. The other thing I would say is everyone's got different pen tastes. There are some people who come along with some beautiful collections I absolutely love seeing, that are way out of my price range, my knowledge zone. There are people who come along with gin house that have cost a couple of pounds, and I think that's lovely. So I would encourage anyone to pen meet. I've never met anyone who's like it, but it could be very easy to become a pen snob at some point and go, oh, I only collect my, pens that are 5 figures, and here's my collection of gold nibbed vintage Parker pens or whatever. I've never met anyone who's been like that, but we should welcome everyone, and it's great for people who've never had a chance to try that out, to try out new pens. But we should be welcoming and enjoy their pens, whatever they are. Occasionally I get a few raised eyebrows. Matt, your pens are all black and metal. Why why on earth would you do that? But I love seeing people's sparkly pens. I love seeing people's. I've tried out, some pens, and it's just lovely to try all these out. So yeah, I would strongly say there may be people coming along who haven't been as penabled as expensively as we will have in FPUK, and we should welcome them with open arms and help them along their way without necessarily trying to spend their money either. But at the Bath pen meet, yeah, on the ink side of things, we have the ink swamp now, but people have been incredibly generous bringing inks along they don't want. Being able to bring along inks for people who haven't got as wide a ink collection, who can just take away samples and try them out. And if they don't like them, they can bring them back again. We'd sooner they didn't, because we've got so many to get rid of, but they can come back, they can bring them back again and give them to someone else, and we can just pay it forward and share the love for it all. Buying and selling at pen meets. So I'm beginning to think that with the number of people at Bath Pen Meet, we should probably have kind of some rough, this is how we operate and this is how we expect you to operate. I don't know how our other pen meets are. We're fine with people buying and selling, and we've had pen makers come along. We've got John from the fantastic John from Yakida Pens coming along next time, and I hope people will want to buy his pens because they're lovely. I have one, and I have my eyes on another. So I think buying and selling and trading pens is absolutely fine. I've seen it happen. I guess it's buyer and seller beware. It's up to them. Bath Pen Meet takes no responsibility for you know, what happens with buying and selling pens. But I've generally got 2 or 3 to sell because I can never manage to shift them on BST for some reason. Apart from a Hongdian, which I sold for £7 once, much to my surprise. But normally I don't shift them. So I've normally got a few pens that I'm happy to sell if people are interested. Other people have as well. So I'm cool with it. But maybe for your pen meet, just say whether you're happy for that to happen or not. And it should go without saying, and again, we don't have it written down in Bath Pen Meet, but there is a lovely craft beer bar in Bath called the Sickle, where I'd love to have a pen meet, but it's too small to have one because we take over the whole bar. But in their one toilet, they've got a lovely inclusivity statement where they basically say that everyone is welcome, no matter you know, what their beliefs, how they stand. The only thing that they will be unhappy about is if people start saying things that make people uncomfortable, or that, you know, are starting to wind people up on beliefs and things, or they're not accepting of other people there. And at that point, they'll be asked to leave after a word of warning. And I think that's how pen meets should work as well. Yeah, they're an inclusive space for everyone, no matter what your beliefs are. You know, and you know, politics and religion and views should not come into it. We should attempt to be one happy family from there. Right. What makes us a success? We are bigger, I think, than any other pen meet apart from possibly Cardiff. And the success of it has blown me away. Um, I never thought that, you know, when I kind of said, does anyone want to have a quick pen meet in Bath at some point, that we get to this vast, unwieldy creature that is Bath Pen Meet with over 40 people in the WhatsApp group, and me going, there's no way, A, that we can fit 40 people around a single table, and secondly, that we can get a date where everyone can meet up. So why have we got to the point where we've got to? And I'm not suggesting that necessarily a pen meetup group with that many people involved is always a good thing, because it can be really nice to have. Do you want to come up again? Sorry, I just cat management. Come on then. Come on then. No? Don't you want to hear why Bath Pen Meet's a success? Okay. You're going to have to wait. I'm not feeding you. Good girl. Right. There we go. Sorry about that. We're back. Come on, Tess, say hello to the nice people. Come on, have a look up there. Okay, don't. Right. So size doesn't necessarily mean quality. In actual fact, one of the nicest Bath Pen meetup meetings I had was when we had less than normal. I think we had about 10 people there. And it wasn't the fact that, you know, the other people weren't there. It was actually a fact that I actually got to have to talk and have a good conversation with everyone there, which is really hard if you've got the best part of 20 people there. So please don't think that because Bath has got this huge number of people that it's always a good thing, or that you should be aiming for that, or that your pen meetup can't be as good as Bath's because it's got less people. It's got nothing to do with that. As long as we have, yeah, a nice number of people sitting down and talking about pens and enjoying themselves together, that's a successful pen meet. But what's made us go from strength to strength? Oh, good. Right. Okay. I've got to do this next bit from memory because I did it on my other computer, put it all up onto Dropbox, and for some reason it hasn't. Let me just stop the share a sec. Let me just see if I open it again, whether the new version has actually downloaded. Just bear with me just a moment. If not, you're not missing a huge amount of yes, hurrah. Right, okay. That's better. Just bear with me one moment. And I'll now share my screen again. Okay. Sorry about that. As someone who presents professionally for many years, you'd think I'd get this sorted out by now, but there we go. So the first thing I think is our geography. We are relatively central as meetups go. It's an easy place for a lot of people to get to, which means that people can come from London, the home counties, the Midlands, Wales. It's, people seem to be very happy to come here for and drive 2 hours to be here, for which I'm honoured that people want to come to Bath and do that. It also helps that we're a nice city and it's a nice place to come for a weekend or a day out anyway. And it also helps. We've got the fantastic Meticulous Ink, which is a lovely pen and stationery shop there, which everyone should go and visit when they're in Bath. So maybe all of these things help that Bath is a place. We've also made sure that our venue is 5 minutes from the railway station, the bus station, and 5 minutes from parking if you take the right exit from the vast car park, which I've never managed to do. But yeah, we're near for everyone to be able to get there as well. It's not like you get to some weird location where you can't get to if you're driving or if you want to use public transport. The next thing, we offer the best cake in Bath, and I shout about it. And hopefully that's got something to do with it as well. That is actually a genuine piece of cake from the Bath Pen Meetup. So I'm a great fan of the tiffins that they do there. I know Dominic likes a Millionaire's shortbread. Anyone else who's got a favourite Bath cake, please put it in the chat, and we can share recommendations to those coming to visit in the future. Next, I also try and do events for the meetup. So as it started getting bigger, I thought it'd be nice to make it something a little bit more than just people coming together and talking pens. So some of the things that we've done at Bath are we have had Meticulous Ink very kindly supported us for the first meetup and gave us a discount for anyone who visited the shop. We've had pen makers visit us, so we've had Vizier Pens come and present their pens to us. John's coming at Yakida Pens, is coming to the next meetup, and he does beautiful, beautiful handmade pens, which you can see him making on screen right now. But he'll be bringing a selection of, I believe, some finished pens with him as well. So this could be your only chance to get your hand on a Yakida pen before Christmas, because normally it's about a 4-month waiting list. And some half-finished pens as well, and some of the new things he's doing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. We've had Thomas come down to us for a nib grinding session, which again was kindly supported by Meticulous Ink, because they gave us the venue for that, because having ink flying into your coffee doesn't really work at a pen meetup. So in the morning we did nib grinding, and actually for most of the afternoon we ended up doing nib grinding as well. We've looked at trying to get a visit to Right Here, Right Now, and I think that's going to happen next year. I'm delegating some of these things now. There's a group visit to the Dutch Pen Show coming next year. People from the Bath Pen Meet who are here haven't heard all of this yet, but we're also looking at doing a pen art session with Paul Clark. We're looking at potentially doing a nib tuning session as well. So I'm always interested in trying to get some things that are a bit different up. So there's a reason to come and visit other than just pens as well. If anyone who's on here who's a pen maker who wants to come and visit the group, please get in touch with me, or who's got other ideas for events for the group, please get in touch with me, because that's an important bit as well. The other thing is frequency. So some people work to a very regimented frequency, and we don't. We kind of do one roughly every 2 months or so. I feel that, and maybe every 10 weeks, I feel if we did it more frequently, then maybe the appeal would run out. As it is, because we only do it maybe half a dozen times a year, that's more than enough times for me to kind of get the group together and fix up a date and sort everything out. But if we did it more frequently, it'd stop being special and it would get a little bit more diluted. So I think, yeah, anyone who does a meetup and expects people to come every month or something like that, it would probably work with Bath. I don't think it would be as fun. I don't think it would yeah, I couldn't organise one every month. I wouldn't come every month. I think you just have to be aware that if you want to do one every month, you may not get everyone coming every month. You just have to be aware of that. So I think frequency is an interesting point as well. And the final point, this may sound terribly arrogant and it's not meant to be. I think it's because actually I do quite a lot to try and make the pen meet a success. And I think a good pen meet needs a driving force behind it. It's not my pen meet, it's everyone's pen meet. And occasionally people have said it's Matt's pen meet, and it's not. It's absolutely not. And I would love to have a team of people with me who are happy to do more stuff with it as well. But you do need someone who's sorry, I hope people aren't offended by the phrase, but who's bloody minded enough and selfish enough to want to go on and organise this, because I've done this because I want to do it. It's I love the pen community. It's nice to be able to give back to it. But actually, Bath Pen Meet happens because I was selfish and I wanted a pen meet near me. The events happen because I'm selfish and I fancied having some nib grinding without having to queue for 15 hours at the London Pen Show. And I wanted to meet pen makers in a slightly more relaxed atmosphere. So all of these things, I get these things going because I like doing them, basically, and because I'm also single-minded enough to go ahead and just do it. So a good pen meet, I think, has someone who drives it a little bit behind them as well, and inevitably there is one organizer in inverted commas who tends to kind of get dumped with all this stuff, but also drive behind it as well. Having said that, it's great. Nick is going to be organising the trip to Right Here, Right Now. He tried last year and we just couldn't get the dates to work, but he's going to try it again for next year, and I've delegated that to him. And we'll get some other bits together as well, where I'm sure other people will kind of get organising as well. I think that's probably all I've got to say about pen meets. You'll be highly relieved to hear. Let's open the floor to any questions. Steph, do you want to say anything that's been happening in the chat? Because I haven't had a chance to look at it whilst I've been doing that. And if anyone wants to shout out and do live questions and answers as well, I'm very happy to answer all questions and answers as well, until the cat needs feeding.
Lots of recommendations for the quiche as well as sweet treats at the Bath Pen Meet. And Paul suggested one of the things that the Netherlands pen group do is that they actually have themed as well as organising different things. So they'll say, bring all your Japanese pens, or bring all your blue pens, or things. That was one suggestion that Paul said as well.
We might have to try that next year, have a themed meet.
And Dominic says, what about a trip to a reputable sock retailer in Paris?
Right. Now, this is one thing I didn't share, was the socks and pens. In fact, I'm going to pass that one over to Dominic, and he can admit as much or as little as he wants at that point. But I will say there was a conversation about socks and pens at, I think it was the last Bath Pen Meet. And from there, Dominic very excellently raised the bar and then created the hashtag socks and pens. But yeah, we'll chalk that one down to a Bath Pen Meet.
Yeah, I'm not sure where socks and pens came. I think Matt and I decided that they were very related for some very odd reason. And once we started looking, we uncovered all sorts of people's interest in socks. So it grew and grew from there. And I now have rather a lot of offers from people to make me pairs of socks or send me pairs of socks, which is good fun.
I think it started, I had a very boring question to ask Dominic. I said, Dominic, can I ask you a question? And it was going to be about paper. And Dominic said, Matt, you can ask me anything. So at that point, I thought, right, okay. So for some reason, I randomly decided to ask him about his socks. And from there, we got onto pens and socks, French sock retailers, and the hashtag was born.
That's about the size of it.
What I will also say is that you don't just have to talk about I was going to say you don't just have to talk about socks at pen meets. You don't just have to talk about pens at sock meets. No, oh God. Okay, no. You don't just have to talk about pens at pen meets. you can talk about socks. I've had lots of really interesting discussions about all sorts of things, which haven't been necessarily been pen related, and that's another lovely thing, that you find common interests and start talking about things. And people have helped me with various introductions on other areas as well, which has been really nice.
That's one of the things I love about it, is that you just end up speaking to people that you probably would just never speak to or know in any other way. And it's brilliant.
And Corinne, congratulations. I'm just reading through the chat. You've had your first meet in Norfolk, which is brilliant. So 7 there. I think that's fantastic. And hopefully it's the start of many, and a burgeoning area in the east of England as well.
Can I just say that the one thing I really love about the Path Pen Meet is that throughout most of my life I've been quite recluse, and actually being able to have like-minded conversations with people in person is been a life-changing experience. And I'm not saying this because I'm your friend. I'm saying this because fountain pens has really opened up a whole community for me, and being able to see people in person, put faces to names which I see just on the screen, it brings a real connection. And Matt, it has been a really true honor to meet so many wonderful people.
Well, thank you. And that's down to the people who attend the meeting. I just organize.
I mean, you organised it to a point, obviously, which has allowed us to meet. So, it's such a wonderful thing that you've managed to do. And even if it was for semi-selfish reasons, it has been a truly a wonderful experience. I really want to say that from the bottom of my heart.
And I would like to add on Andrew's behalf that it's well worth going to the Bath Pen Meet just to try Andrew's pens. Andrew is extremely generous with his pens and will let, I presume, as he's let me try them, he'll let anyone try them. And if you ever want to see the beauty of Japanese pen design, Andrew is extraordinarily generous and always has a very a huge amount of pens with him, doesn't he, Matt?
He does, yeah. And he's opened my eyes to so many different aspects of pens. I'd never got the whole Urushi thing, and then I just saw these beautiful pens and learnt so much more about it from Andrew. I've just learnt from everyone. It's been really, really nice. And I started it for selfish reasons, but if it does give back to the pen community, then that makes it all worthwhile at that point.
And I think it's just lovely, how handwriting sort of talks so much about a person. I think actually the whole sort of fountain pen can speak volumes about a person as well. And seeing the vast variety of pens which are at the pen show, and you mentioned about, there can be elements of snobbery in certain hobbies, but I think with fountain pens we all can share in the delight of pens, whether they're a £2 pen. I've got that lovely garage fountain pen, which is one of my favorite writers, and it's a platinum preppy, which is dressed up with Urushi. So it can be enjoyed from a multitude of different facets, and seeing that in person, and not just some posts on Instagram or on FPUK. It's really wonderful to see that, and see what brings people pure joy.
You should have got Andrew to do this. He's so eloquent compared to me.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not. I've just had wine.
Maybe that's where I went wrong. Paul asked about, as the organizer, do you bring extra stuff along? It never occurred to me until you asked that question. I probably should, but I come in on the bus because I don't actually live in Bath. So there's a limit to what I can bring along, although there's not a huge amount there. There's also, I guess, a certain amount of, because we're in a cafe, by the time I kind of start bringing along, kitchen rolls and cups and things, I kind of feel a little bit is that fair on the venue? I probably should. Syringes, I personally don't bring them along. Yeah, ever since my daughter discovered me pen cleaning and went, "Dad, are you on drugs?" Even legal to do that sort of thing. I feel that bringing syringes to cafes is possibly open to the to misinterpretation. Other people, however, do and have no such qualms about that. I'll leave them to get arrested for illegal ink usage. So no, I don't bring anything along. I probably should. There have been much more organised people than I coming along to the pen meet with all their swatching sets. However, we have occasionally abused the free water glass system and napkins at the venue, I will say, so that yeah, there has been a glass of water for dipping and a few napkins for cleaning. That's about as organised as I've got on it.
Brilliant.
Any other questions?
Not so much of a question, but you sort of talked a little bit about meticulous ink earlier. You know, in a world where we are seeing less and less pen shops, you know, if you do come to Bath Pen Meet, enjoy a slice of quiche, but also do try and visit Athena at Meticulous Ink, even if it's just to say hello, because she's such a welcoming person, and her smile is contagious. It's fantastic. And actually, the store what she has there is beautiful. And she's got a whole plethora of different items there. The papers are fantastic, the pens are fantastic, which she has, the inks are great. So, you know, it's a nice thing to be able to support a store in person, if you want to. In fact, actually, when I came to my first Bath pen meet, I made the trip up to Meticulous Ink, and that was the first time I've ever been to a fountain pen or a stationery shop in my adult life. So that was another wonderful thing which I want to highlight.
So Meticulous Ink would have hosted the Bath Pen Meet, but we got too big before they could do that. They're great. And yeah, so please do. They do wonderful paper. They do their own notebooks and writing pads. They've got Dens. I think they've got some exclusive Dens pens. They've certainly got Dens pens. Kaviko and Tom's writing as pens. They've got, so if you go into sparkly inks, they've got a massive range of dominant industry sparkly inks that are really nice. And they also do the Tom Studio inks, which I'm just about to write a review of for FPUK. When I say I'm just about to write a review of it, will come up in the next 6 months or so. And if you like washi tape and all that sort of thing, they've got it coming out their ears. Yeah, they've just got lots of lovely stuff. And in the chat was mentioned Minerva Art Supplies, who are an art shop in Bath. They're great as well. I hadn't realised I gave 10% off to the Bath Pen Meet, so thank you for that, Helen. But yeah, they're lovely people in there. They've got all sorts of nice paper, and actually they've got some really good cheap notebooks that are very fountain pen friendly. So yeah, come along and go to them as well. And Dominic has also been to I can't remember which shop it is. There is a Mont Blanc franchise in Bath as well, which I've never entered.
I think it's called Mallory's.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Mallory's,
big shop.
Yeah, that it's an experience going in there. I went there once with my fiance, and it was like, "Would you like to come in, sir? Would you like to see one of our sales associates?" And it was quite hoity-toity, but they do actually have quite a lot of Mont Blanc pens downstairs, and it's certainly worth having a look at if you are in the area.
Excellent. So the only last thing I'm going to say is the next Bath Pen Meet is on. I should have looked this up before I.
27th.
29.
29. Thank you for all those. So please do come along if you haven't been to one before, or we'll do other ones. I always put them up on FPUK. If you want advance notice, please join the WhatsApp group. Just shoot me a message and I'll get you on there. We love welcoming people along. So the next one has got John from Yukida Custom Fountain Pens, who makes lovely, lovely handmade pens. Then the one after that, I think we're probably is going to be in February, and I think we're having another nib grinding session. And then I'll work on other stuff afterwards.
I thought you said you'd rather organise Glastonbury than another nib grinding session.
I did, but Thomas and Athena sorted it out between them. So
Okay.
the last one got a bit complicated for various reasons. So, but yeah, I'm also looking at some other pen makers coming to visit in the future as well. So we've got lots of ideas for next year. So yeah, just please come along and join us if you'd like to. And yeah, I know some of you are a long way away from Bath. It's a lovely place to come for a weekend. So you know, make a weekend of it when you come.
I mean, in fairness, that's probably the only thing I'd add. I have a sister in the Forest of Dean, so I'm actually going to see her after the Bath Pen meet and staying with her. So that's nice. So I've got family, but I actually work around the country as well, and quite often, if I haven't got anything on in the evening, I'll just pop in the group. Anybody want to meet and have dinner? And there's now quite a nice group in Londoners that meet up for dinner when I'm down there, and also in Manchester and things. So again, it doesn't have to be an organised, regimented particular meet. Just if you're going to be somewhere and you're at a loose end, it's quite a nice thing to do as well.
Yeah, that's beginning to happen in Bath as well. That people are kind of just going, oh, let's. Yeah, I'm meeting a couple of people soon. It's in my diary, you know, where just for a catch up about stuff. But yeah, I'm always happy to, if people are in the Bath area, depending on my diary, I'm always happy to meet up. It doesn't always work because I have a few.
Well, no.
But yeah, I'm always happy to try and do that as well.
Well, obviously, we will. Sorry, I missed that bit, Matt.
And we do pens and craft beer at that point as well. Or
yes.
I think we're going to have to come up with a craft beer range of inks.
That's not bad anyway. Well, I'm just going to stop the recording at this point, and then obviously we can carry on chatting. But okay, thank you very much.